Hey everyone, Screaming Geek Media here. Today I got another 4K review for you. We are going to talk about Jaws 3. But before we get into that, if you like 4Ks, if you like Blu-rays, even DVDs, if you like home theater, movies in general, check out my other videos on my channel because I do these reviews. I do some unboxings, discussions, collection updates. Check that stuff out, see what you like. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn your bell notifications on. So today we are going to talk about Jaws 3 on 4K. Now I'm sure maybe you've seen some other reviews out there talking about this 4K. Definitely very popular online at the moment, and kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. Definitely not going to be, I'm not as critical as some of the others, so I think my review is going to be a little bit better than others out there. But, Jaws 3 came out in 1983. Actually just has a PG rating. You got Dennis Quaid, very young Dennis Quaid. You can see here is like, wow, he's definitely younger years. One of his early movies. Bess Armstrong, Simon McCorkindale. And also we got Louis Gossett Jr., Leah Thompson. So you got a decent cast. And of course, Louis Gossett Jr., I've always been a big fan of his. He is an incredible actor, and definitely you don't hear a whole lot about him. Directed by Joe Alves. Now, the movie itself, it's a sequel. Sequels don't live up to the reputation of the originals. Jaws is an incredible classic. Jaws 2 is just almost as good. I mean, it's really up there. It's a really good movie. This one, it's a good movie on its own. It's well put together, decent story. But the problem with Jaws 3 is, the effects are just so cheesy, low budget. The optical effects are horrid. I mean, especially this scene right near the end, you see the mother swimming up near the enclosure, and it's just like, this looks like shit. What the fuck were they thinking? So they didn't spend a lot of money on effects with this movie. But outside that, it's a decent movie. It's a fun watch. I have not seen this for a long time. Probably VHS, because I don't think I've ever owned this on any format. I just never picked it up. And it was always just Jaws 1 and 2, and I just kind of forgot about the others. Now, this 4K release comes from Universal. It just came out this week. Of course, this is a steelbook here. And here, if you can see, here's the standard version you can get. They release both versions of it. Of course, the movie was filmed on 35 millimeter, HDR10. This was filmed in 3D, hence the original name was Jaws 3D, not just Jaws 3, which I'm not a big tech geek as far as filming goes. I'm not as far as how they film 3D. And I'm thinking that is the problem why this is, since I've never owned this on any of the formats, some say, Jeff over Films at Home, he talked about in his review of it, that he's owned this on the different formats and it's never had a good release. It's always looked bad. And I think it probably goes back to the source material, probably how it was filmed for 3D. So I'll play devil's advocate here and, defend the transfers a little bit because of probably what they had to work with. They did the best they could, but they, experimented with this whole AI upscaling. And if you check out Jeff's review on this, and also Ken over at Mid-Level Media, he showed some screenshots where he zoomed in where the backgrounds is really wonky, or some of the faces look demonic. So that part of the transfer, it was really crappy, but again, I think it's just what they had to work with. They wanted to get something out there. They didn't want to do a traditional restoration with 4K scanning. I think, Universal wanted to get it out there for the fans that wanted to have the whole franchise on 4K, and they just didn't want to not put it out. So they're just like, hey, let's see what we can do. But I think it's a lose-lose situation no matter what they did. If they wouldn't have went the AI route and if they would have done a traditional 4K scan, we would have been bitching about it because it wouldn't have looked perfect. So like again, I think it was just a lose-lose for them. Regardless of what they did, we would have been complaining about it. So they wanted to try something different, and just it didn't pan out for that part of it. But for the average Joe, if you're not looking for it, you're not gonna see it, because overall the presentation is very, very good. There's some parts that's not so great. You know, a couple scenes there's things that are out of focus. But other than that, it's really got some really nice depth and details. Colors are very well saturated, really come off the screen. Blacks are nice and deep. Nighttime scenes are very well done. A lot better than I thought they would be. You know, they don't have the heavy grain I normally would you get. The one scene where these two guys go out in a lagoon on a little raft, or they want to steal some coral. And after one goes in the water, you know, it's very dark, but you can see some subtle details. You can see the moon reflections glistening from the water up on the side of the raft. So that looked very nice. All the underwater shots are incredible. That's where I think the 4K really shines. Is a lot of the up close shots are very nice. You see some facial details, you know, sweat, especially Louis Gossett Jr. being bald. A couple of his close-up shots, you can just see the shine on his head and his face, the pores on the skin and the sweat. So very nicely done there. Some of the textures, you know, wallpapers, you know, details. A scene where Dennis Quaid and his brother, you know, they're having breakfast, and the god-awful decor looks really, I mean, it looks great, but it doesn't look great. So very impressive transfer in my opinion. You know, if you take the A out of the equation, this is very nicely done. It's not perfect. You're not going to use this to show off a system. It's not that good, but pretty damn good. Now comparing this with the Blu-ray, again, I've never owned this before, so I compared it with the Blu-ray that comes along with this. I don't know if this Blu-ray has any restoration done with it. That's for you to decide if you have the old Blu-ray. But from my honest opinion, this is a major upgrade over the Blu-ray. There's parts of the Blu-ray that look decent, but the colors are definitely muted, has that cooler tones to it. Doesn't have the pop, not very well saturated. Definitely the heavy grain in this. Definitely, you can see this was not cleaned up at all in the Blu-ray. The nighttime scene here, the one shot, the Blu-ray looks like complete shit. Like all the specks and grain in it. And it was cleaned up for the 4K. Now, this shot here, I didn't do a 4K comparison, but I did grab a screenshot of the Blu-ray, and it looks like total shit. I cannot believe how bad this looks. You can see here. Other things I noticed taking these screenshots, the Blu-ray and the 4K, the framing was off. The only way I noticed was because normally when I do these comparisons, I jot down the exact timestamp so I can try to get the exact apples to apples comparison where I get the exact frame and compare them. I didn't do that here. I didn't jot down the time. I wasn't sure if I was going to do the comparison. So I just kind of guessed, you know, took a kind of ballpark figure of so you're going to see some difference. But there's a couple shots where I lucked out and I got the almost exact frame comparison. And this one was at the breakfast table, and you can see the framing, it was a different frame. You can see the difference between a Blu-ray and a 4K. I'm like, not sure why they changed that. So overall, major upgrade comparing the Blu-ray and the 4K. Now for the audio, they gave us a Dolby Atmos track here. And of course, I don't have Atmos, I just have 5.0. But it's not a bad track. It's very well done. Has that robust feel. It has some nice bass here and there. Really comes alive. Clear dialogue throughout. There was a couple scenes I thought the dialogue kind of sounded fake. But how they, did the looping, it doesn't match the atmosphere. The one scene in particular is when Fitzroyce meets Catherine at the tank where they're doing the dolphin training. And as the two are talking, it just doesn't feel natural. I mean, it's clear. You can hear it clear, every word. But when you're looking at the whole thing, it just doesn't feel right. That was my only complaint about the audio track, is a couple of scenes where the dialogue just felt fake and just not natural. But other than that, it was a very nice track overall. Didn't sound flat like you'd expect from an older 70s and 80s movies. Now for the packaging here. Again, this is a steel book. Really nice. It has a nice matte finish to it. Like the front design. The back is kind of cool. Wish they would have done something different, but overall really nice. Open up and see the whole thing here. It does have a digital code I'll share with you in a second. I'll pop these discs out so you can see the artwork inside. Now here's the artwork on the inside of the case. Normally, I'm not a big steelbook collector. Only in the last couple of years, I started getting some here and there. If the designs are nice, or if a lot of times the deals, sometimes are even really cheap, so I'll go ahead and get them. But for Jaws 3 and 4, I only got because I got the first two Jaws in steelbook, so I want to go ahead and kind of complete the collection for steel. And here's the digital code here. Hit the pause button, take a like and jot down the numbers and check out this digital code. So to wrap it up here, the 4K of Jaws 3. Was it screwed up with the AI? Yes and no. Only if you're looking for it and you're going to pause and zoom in and really look at those background details. If you're the average person, if you're not looking at it, that aspect, this is a very well done transfer. Again, this is a major upgrade over the Blu-ray. So ignore the bad press this is getting because of the AI. If you've got the Blu-ray, upgrade this to the 4K because it is very pleasing. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be disappointed as long as you're keeping an open mind. Like I said, there's a couple scenes that are out of focus. But overall, this is a very impressive transfer. Yeah, I just think it boils down to with the source material, what they had to work with. I think Universal did the best they could do with this. Now, my thoughts on AI, do I like it? No. I mean, we need to preserve these movies as best they can without digital enhancement. I think it's overall bad practice for the studios and directors of wanting to do this kind of work. But again, it boils down to the source material, especially being 3D. Does a 2D negative exist? I don't know because I'm not up to speed on how things are filmed. So maybe that doesn't exist and they just had to 3D. They only had to 3D print to work with. So the AI doesn't know how to deal with how that stuff does it. Again, if they would have done a regular 4K restoration, we would have been bitching because it probably wouldn't have been perfect. So they did what they could. I'm just hoping we don't see a lot of this AI being done because I didn't think it affected the overall picture. When you look at everything in the foreground and the big picture, it looks great. Just unfortunate that they have to go the AI route because of bad source material. But again, I think Universal just wanted to get it out because, for the completists in us, that even if we don't like the movies, we like to have a whole franchise. So I'm happy that it did come to 4K. It's not a shit job like some people think it might be. So again, if you've got the Blu-ray, I would recommend picking this up, whether you get the Steelbook or you get the standard version here. Now, I would recommend going to Grove. Definitely check out the links below of all the sellers. If you've never dealt with Grub before, they are incredible. It's basically, it was a startup mainly from Universal, but because they're in a deal with the studio distribution centers, the SDS, with Warner Brothers. So basically, you see a lot of Warner Brothers titles on Grub as well, which is nice. You get more of a selection. But great service, free shipping, whether you order 1 or 10, it's free shipping. If you also the first time you sign up with them, they'll give you an email. They'll give you a code for 20% off. They ship quickly. Customer service, if you have questions, there's been a few times I've had inquired and they've got back to me within a day or two. So they're great customer service. Come to pre-orders, definitely depends. Now this is something if you don't know, because they have the option of using PayPal or a credit card. Now with pre-orders, if you pre-order using PayPal, the payment will come out immediately. Something I learned last year with one of my orders. But if you pre-order with a regular credit card, it won't. They won't bill you until it's shipped. So that's kind of something to keep in mind if you want to pre-order something, thinking about financial, if you want to delay the payment. So that you don't want to use PayPal, you want to use a regular card. So that's a nice FYI, heads up on that. But the reason I'm telling you about Grub on this is Amazon is really pricey. The standard release is $29.99, where Grub is $24.99. So you save $5 going over to Grub to get this. The Steelbook, $40 on Amazon, $30 on Grub. So you save $10 if you go to Grub. So if you're getting this, go to Grub, order it. No matter which version you get, you're going to save $5 or $10. So that pretty much does it for my look at the 4K of Jaws 3. Now, if you want to get some more in-depth, how the looks of the whole AI fiasco is, check out Middle of Media, because Ken had some screenshots. Films at Home, Jeff did some same thing, did some screenshots showing you what the background, what the AI did to it. So if you want to see some details of that stuff, check out their YouTube channels and their reviews of Jaws 3. I didn't want to go, down that rabbit hole, but just wanted to give you my thoughts. As like I said, I think this is a good presentation and recommend picking this up. Comment below, let me know what you think. Check out my other videos on my channel. Like, subscribe, turn your bell notifications on, and we'll see you soon. Geek out.